Next on our mini tour of regional getaways is one where early industrialists first started the town of Boca Grande on Gasparilla Island. It still lures folks for tarpon fishing, white beaches, and its many other amenities.
It began as a deep port to which railroads shipped phosphate, but the wealthy industrialists who created the town of Boca Grande on Gasparilla Island kept it and its tarpon fishing to themselves. For decades, names like Vanderbilt, DuPont, and Crown and Shield filled the social register at the Gasparilla Inn. DuPont descendants still own the Victorian Grand Dam, and tarpon fishing continues to draw the summer crowd. The Boca Grande Lighthouse lit the way to its modern development.
The lighthouse was built in 1890. It was initially built for the cattle barges that were coming down from the Peace River going to Cuba. But in about the early 1900s, phosphate became high demand. They decided to build a railroad, and the railroad itself brought in a lot of workers. The workers, of course, brought in commerce. And one thing that the railroad realized is that they were going up north with fish and phosphate, but they were coming back empty when they came back to the south. And so they decided to build the Gasparilla Inn.
In those days, the inn provided a reason to carry northerners south. Today, the railroad into Boca Grande is gone, but it left its mark. A bike path follows the original trestle route, a 7-mile path used by bikes and golf carts. Shops and the Loose Caboose occupy the old depot, one of the town's defining structures, along with the lighthouse and Gasparilla Inn.
The inn was built in 1913. So it is something that has been the mainstay of Boca Grande and Gasparilla Island for years. People started initially coming to the inn because of the wonderful fishing in this area. Boca Grande is known as the tarpon fishing capital of the world. And so wealthy northerners would come to Boca Grande from the northeast, the Vanderbilts, the DuPonts.
Because it has been a beacon for many of the people that live here. Being the oldest structure on the island, they decided that it was really important historically to renovate the building, the structure. And so they did that, and it has been a museum for several years now.
The oft-photographed lighthouse makes a pleasant historic sidebar to a day at the beach on Boca Grande.
We are standing in Gasparilla Island State Park, and most people come here for the beautiful beaches. We have pristine waters and great amenities here. And a lot of times, because of the hot Florida sun, they decide that they need to get out of the heat, and they see our charming little museum and decide to come in and get cooled off, and so they get both the cultural experience and the beach experience at the same time.
The museum illuminates the island's nautical past, which is also very much a part of Boca Grande's present tense.
Day trippers, people who are just out for the day for lunch cruise, we have accommodations for them in regards to having a dock so that they can come ashore, eat at the restaurant, or rent golf carts to see different things on the island like the Lighthouse Museum, or go downtown and eat and shop at the local shops and restaurants.
2 restaurants at Boca Grande Marina, formerly Miller's Marina, slake sailors' hunger and thirst. Just around the corner from the mega yachts, however, boating and pigging out are set in a whole different context at Whidden's Marina, home to the Gasparilla Island Maritime Museum. This dusty little hole in the wall pays colorful homage to the charter fishermen who catered to the rich and powerful in the early days. A continued reputation for tarpon fishing in Boca Grande Pass is their legacy.
Tarpon season in the pass is very crowded, right in the main area where all the majority of the fish are. It's only about 2 or 3 acres, so there will be 100 boats jammed into a very small area.
PJ's Sea Grill preserves yet another clip of history in a movie theater from the 1920s.
We own the entire building and lease out the gallery and jewelry shop upstairs, and then we own the Grapevine, which is kind of an extension of the restaurant.
The Theater Mall has become a showcase for local art, thanks to Kathleen Turner's father, who owns the building.
My father had wanted to kind of give back to the community, and he commissioned Emil Alzamora, who was born and raised in Boca Grande, and he commissioned first Embrazo, which means embrace, and then Patty Middleton, who is a wonderful wildlife artist. He also commissioned to do a piece, a watercolor of the old rendering of what it looked like in the movie days with the old movie chairs and the box seats. And then she also did the fish murals in our Fishtails Lounge, where we have lighter fare.
Local restaurant operators are happy that Gasparilla Inn, once extremely exclusive with its guests, has loosened its meal-inclusive rate plan during social season. Guests can now opt to take meals at restaurants other than the inns. Besides its 4 restaurants, Gasparilla Inn offers modern, full-service accommodations in a setting that's a throwback to the days of long skirts and croquet on the lawn. Manager Jack DeMoli describes some of the amenities.
pt2 Championship Golf Course that plays at its tips 6,943 yards long, which is a very good track as far as golfers go. 7 Hartrue tennis courts, 3 croquet courts, a complete 10-room spa, a 1,400 square foot salon operation, a 32,000 square foot beach club operation with a family pool that fronts the Gulf of Mexico.
Overnighters also have a couple of other lodging options and home rentals from which to choose. Arriving by car takes the longest to get to off-the-beaten-path Boca Grande from most parts of Southwest Florida. Boating is usually faster and more apropos for this seaworthy town. But if a fast ride in a seaplane appeals, pilot Mark Futch picks up at local marinas to whisk guests here in minutes. No matter how visitors get to Boca Grande, they are greeted with a sense of arrival and escape in both geographic and temporal terms.
There's no high-rises. Everything is very old Florida here. Even with the more modern buildings and stuff, it's unique in the sense that it's very old-fashioned. It's a slower pace here.
This is a true old Florida feel. This is a resort, and Boca Grande is a place that really, in every positive sense of the word, time stands still. And this is still a very, very special experience that's safe, that is friendly. It is something that you'll find very relaxing, very enjoyable, and people return year after year just to experience that.
Yes, I am a pirate.
The once well-guarded secret is leaking out. Today, more and more folks are discovering the treasure of Gasparilla Island. Named for a mythical pirate who, as legend has it, buried his booty here. They may not readily unearth gold doubloons, but precious white beaches, a quiet backroad temperament, and an intriguing dimension of history.